If your Etsy sales have dropped over the last couple of years and you've been wondering what's actually going on, this video is for you. Etsy just released their Q4 2025 earnings report. And instead of leaving you to try to decode 30 pages of investor speak, I read the whole thing. Plus, I dug into what's happening with the algorithm, buying behavior, and what sellers like you are reporting right. There is genuinely good news in there. But there are also some things that I want you to hear straight because nobody benefits from sugarcoating it. So let's get into it. First, a quick baseline so this data actually means something. Etsy's earning reports are written for investors. They're full of terms like consolidated GMS and take rate and adjusted EBITDA. None of that is how you run your shop. But what is in the report is real data about how many people are buying, what they're buying, what the platform is investing in. And that matters to every single one of us selling there. So here's the plain English version of where Etsy stood at the end of 2025. Some key numbers worth knowing. 86.5 million active buyers were on the platform. That's people who bought at least once in the last 12 months. And in addition, there were 5.6 million active sellers and 3.6 billion in total sales in just Q4, which was the holidays. It was a record revenue for the platform overall. So the platform is big and it's financially stable. That matters because a struggling platform makes worse decisions, cuts features, raises fees, and gets desperate. Etsy is not in that position right now. But stable doesn't mean everything is great for sellers. And that's what we're actually going to talk about today. Let me start with the wins because there are some real ones. And I want you to understand that. So the US buyer GMS, which is just the way of saying the dollar amount US buyers spent on Etsy, grew in Q4 of 2025. And that is the first time that's happened since Q4 of 2021. The decline that started after the pandemic buying surge has officially stopped, and that's meaningful. Buyer CSAT, their satisfaction score, improved by 4.7 points year over year. And the seller CSAT jumped 15.5 points. So if you felt like Etsy has been improving their support and tools over the last year, the data backs that up. It's not just perception. Home and living is 38% of Etsy's total sales, more than a third of everything sold on the platform. And it grew year over year. Craft supplies, paper and furniture supplies, and toys and games also grew. If you're in those categories, you're in the right place. The categories that declined, jewelry and accessories, and apparel. Those are still massive markets on Etsy, but if that's your niche, you're in a more competitive environment, and you need to be a bit sharper about how you're positioning yourself. 10.4 million reactivated buyers in Q4 alone. So people who used to shop on Etsy stopped and came back. That's almost 6% year over year. Combined with new buyers, Etsy added 17.2 million buyers in the fourth quarter. The first time that combined number has been up in over 2 years. What that tells me is that Etsy's marketing is working, and the platform experience is good enough that lapsed buyers are giving it another shot. That's a bigger pool of potential customers coming your way. Now, this is the section that I want every single one of you to pay attention to because it directly affects your listings starting today. 46% of all Etsy sales now happen on the app, nearly half, and it's just going to keep growing. It was 43% the quarter before. App users visit more often, engage more deeply, and convert at higher rates than desktop or mobile web users. Etsy knows this, and they're investing heavily in the app experience. And the app has a personalized home feed, meaning buyers see what the algorithm thinks they'll like, not just search results. And here's what that means practically for your shop. Your first photo is the only photo as far as most buyers are concerned. They're scrolling a feed on a phone. If your thumbnail doesn't stop them in 2 seconds, they're gone. Test every listing photo on your own phone before you publish it. What does that mean? That means that vertical or square photos perform better in a mobile feed than wide landscape shots. If your photography setup is optimized for desktop, it might be working against you. It also means that the algorithm is feeding people listings based on their behavior, what they've clicked, saved, and bought. Your listing has to earn engagement signals fast or it gets buried, which means your first photo and your title have to do serious work. Now, this is the part that I genuinely don't think enough sellers are talking about yet because it's brand new. In February of 2026, basically right now, Etsy updated their search algorithm guidance across 3 major areas. Here's what's changed. US domestic listings with shipping prices above $6 will see reduced visibility in search results. That's a direct quote from their seller handbook. If you've been charging $8 or $10 for shipping on domestic orders, your listings are actively being pushed down in search right now. That's not a maybe, that is an Etsy stated policy. You don't have to offer free shipping, but you need to get domestic shipping under $6, or you need to roll it into your product price. This is one of the most actionable things you can change this week to increase your visibility on Etsy. Next, if you've been writing titles like handmade silver ring, sterling silver ring, boho ring, minimalist ring, gift for silver jewelry, that approach is now actively hurting you. Etsy's newest guidance and algorithm says to write buyer-friendly natural language titles in under 15 words. They've even built an AI tool inside the platform to help you rewrite them. The shift is from writing for the algorithm to writing for the person. Write the way a buyer would describe what they want. Lead with the most specific, accurate description of what the product actually is. Etsy now tells you which of your listings have reduced search visibility and why. It will flag specific issues such as title quality, shipping price, missing attributes, and photo quality. This is genuinely helpful. If you haven't gone into your shop stats and found this dashboard yet, that's your homework after this video. Beyond the platform mechanics, I actually want to talk to you about how buyers are actually showing up right now, because this affects what you make and how you talk about it. This isn't new, but it is intensifying. Etsy's own earnings report called out that buyer engagement consistently skewed towards personalized, sentiment-driven items in Q4. Buyers are not going to Etsy for the cheapest version of a thing. They're going for a version that means something, that was made by a person, that can be customized, and that has a story. If you're not leading with that in your listings, the who behind the making, the what makes this personal, the why someone would give this as a gift, you're leaving conversions on the table. Etsy's own trend data for 2026 says buyers are moving away from polished, curated aesthetics in terms of whimsy, playfulness, and authenticity. The handmadeness is the selling point. The imperfection is the proof of human. That means your process shots, your behind-the-scenes content, your messy workbench photo, that's not unprofessional anymore. That is a differentiator from every mass-produced product on Amazon. There's a reason home and living, craft supplies, and paper and party supplies are growing while fast fashion categories slow down. People are spending more time at home. They're investing in their spaces, their hobbies, the experiences they want to create. If your product fits into that world, say so explicitly in how you describe them. Okay, now here's the stuff I promised to tell you straight. 86.5 million buyers is a lot, but that's down 3.4% from the same time last year. The pool of available customers got smaller again, even as the platform improved. The reactivated buyers are a positive sign, but Etsy hasn't yet replaced all the buyers it lost when the pandemic boom ended. You're selling into a slightly more competitive market for buyer attention than you were a few years ago. This is the part that I feel most strongly about. Etsy changed their search algorithm, and your traffic can disappear overnight. That's not hypothetical. Plenty of sellers have experienced mysterious visibility drops in late 2025 that Etsy never fully explained. If your business runs through Etsy, you have no fallback. The most resilient sellers I know are building an email list. Not a massive one, just a list of people who bought from them, who gave them permission to hear from them again. You put a card in every package with a QR code to sign up for something, a discount, early access, a care guide, and you start owning some of those relationships. That's how you insulate yourself from algorithm changes. New listings without engagement history are starting at a disadvantage in a feed-driven discovery system. This is just math. The algorithm needs data to know who to show your listing to. So your first job with a new listing is to generate some early signal, shares, favorites, off-platform traffic that you drive back to Etsy. That external traffic is treated as a vote of confidence by the algorithm. So let's bring this together in what you should actually do. Let's start with this week. There are 3 things. You want to check the search visibility dashboard in your Etsy stats. Find out which listings Etsy is flagging and fix the ones with shipping over $6 first. Next, you want to look at your last 10 listing titles. If any of them read like keyword soup, rewrite them in a way a buyer would describe what they want. Leave with the product, include the occasion or recipient, and cut anything that's just stuffing. And third, pull up your own shop on your phone. Scroll it like a buyer would. Be honest about what stops the scroll and what doesn't. Next, what do you do this month? One big thing. Set up a simple way to start building your email list from buyers. A printed card in every package with a QR code is enough to start. You don't need a complicated system. You just need to start. And if you need help getting started, check out the link to my Email Made Easy course below. And finally, ongoing, a mindset shift. Stop writing for the algorithm and start writing for the person. Etsy's own platform is now penalizing the old approach. Show your process, your humanness, and write like you're describing a product to someone who cares about where things came from. This is the smartest SEO move you can make right now. Etsy's not dying, but it's also not the golden era that it was in 2020 and 2021. It's a platform that's stabilized, made some improvements for sellers, and is now in the middle of a fairly significant shift towards behavior-driven, algorithm-personalized discovery. The makers who understand that shift will do well. The ones who are still running their shops the way they did 3 years ago will keep wondering why things feel harder. If this was useful, subscribe. I break down this kind of thing regularly so you don't have to. Drop a comment with the biggest thing you took away or the one thing you're going to do differently this week. I actually read them. And I'll see you in the next video.